Hi, I'm Stephen. I've been a Tearfund supporter with my wife for 30 plus years, and we've had the privilege this week of being invited to come and see some of Tearfund's work through its partners in Malawi. To be quite honest, I wasn't really sure what to expect before we came out, but I've just been amazed to see what's being done here, particularly through the CCT program, which is Church Community Transformation. And that's certainly what I've witnessed here. It's a wonderful way of taking a small amount of money and actually getting people here to become owners of their own futures and to take control of their lives rather than being at the mercy of handouts and dependence on governments, for example. And I've seen the way it's brought communities together that goes bigger than the church, but also includes the church, and has empowered people through what are called self-help groups, where people come together and they pool their resources, whether that's financial, so they're able to save and to lend to each other, but also by working together on projects that improve their agricultural practice, improve their nutrition in their homes. And in a relatively small number of years, as we've seen in different communities that we've visited, it's transformed people from lives where they were wondering how they would get through into the next harvest, and perhaps they'd be cutting down on the number of meals they would have a day, to a point where they feel secure that they can move through a year with 3 meals a day and to be able to support their children into school, which is obviously a hugely important thing in terms of building for the future. So it's built a wonderful foundation of communities working together that frankly shames how we are in the West in many ways, and it's also shown glimpses of how this can go forward into the future. We've seen a few folk who are really quite entrepreneurial, looking forward. One particular person had actually planted mango seedlings. He's now able to think about what might happen in 3 to 5 years' time, and is prepared to invest his time and his money in making something for the future. And that's just a wonderful way of building up more secure incomes and diverse incomes. So those are all absolutely fantastic things to have seen. Something that surprised me actually was the way in which trees are being felled to provide fuel for cooking, and the landscape has actually been devastated in many ways with the forest that's being cut down, and sadly continues to be being cut down. But again, some of the work that's being done through the CCT programs includes more efficient ways of cooking, so that reduces the amount of wood that's needed, but also helping people to understand that as communities they need to live in sympathy with nature. So there's been some great projects that have been looking at taking care of bits of forest, or allowing forest to regenerate, or replanting it, and that, as well as being a good thing to do environmentally, is also great for the communities. They're able to have beehives, which generates a source of income from the flowers from the forest. They're able to extract some wood from those forests in a sustainable way, and they can even gather mushrooms in the wet season. So that's just a wonderful sense of restoring relationships, which is a theme that runs through all this, restoring relationships with God, with each other, and also with the environment. So it's been just wonderful to see all this, and to see that there's a long-term future for these communities, but still great challenges. We've been talking about climate change, and communities are aware of that. We've seen some great work on irrigation, just the beginnings of it. And again, that's another way that perhaps these communities can become more resilient in the face of changes that might happen in the future. So wonderful to see how Tearfund's money is being used in this way, touching people's lives in a very practical sense, but also supporting real spirituality in the people and the growth of churches. And that surprised me. I used to think perhaps Tearfund was the social conscience of the church, but it's far more than that. And that's something that I'm going to take back as I think about how we support mission through our own church, and I'll always be a supporter of Tearfund from what I've seen here. So.